So today we celebrate Epiphany. And the word Epiphany means manifestation. And in church world, it's the manifestation of Israel's Messiah to the Gentile nations. Historically, there were at least 3 Epiphany events that were celebrated in the Roman Church. The visit of the Magi, the Lord's baptism, and the wedding feast at Cana. It was generally called the Feast of Epiphany because these were all epiphanies of Christ to the world. Eastern Rite Catholics today, for example, primarily celebrate the baptism of Jesus as Epiphany, and not primarily the Magi, the way we celebrate Epiphany. The Roman Church celebrates the visit of the Magi as the Epiphany. And in the next 2 Sundays, we will read the baptism of Jesus and the wedding feast at Cana. And in days of old, it was on January 6th, that was the traditional Christmas gift-giving day, because that's the day the Magi brought the gifts to the baby Jesus. So we begin this last week of Christmas, the Christmas season, a season of gift-giving, with this feast. Many cultures call it the Feast of the Three Kings. Our psalm we sang was, "We Three Kings." And yet it's interesting to note that the scripture says nothing about kings and nothing about 3. Even today, many cultures exchange gifts on this day. And a gift is made bigger and better and more meaningful when it is shared with others. Most of you know I love good wine. And when I've been given a particularly nice bottle, I have no problem enjoying every drop of it by myself. But I enjoy it so much more when I share it with others. The gift bears more fruit, more joy when it is shared. So in all 3 readings, we see that there's a gift that's been given, but the gift is not just for the one it's given to. In the first reading from Isaiah that Ricky read, we hear that God has gifted the Jewish people. God reveals himself to them. But it says clearly, it's not just for them. The glory and the light of the Lord will shine on all the nations of the earth. And in the second reading, Paul says that the circle of God's revelation is widening. The gift started with the Jewish people, but expanded to include the Gentiles. Paul says are co-heirs and members of the same body. And then we have the gospel, a beautiful story that is read only on this feast, the day we celebrate the human manifestation of the eternal Christ, but not just to Mary and Joseph, or even to the Jewish people. Matthew, in fact, stretches the concept way further. There are the Magi, the wise men. Most biblical scholars assume they were somewhere around Persia, modern-day Iran or Iraq, and they were outsiders. Certainly, they weren't Jews. If the story was told today, it might say they were Sunni Muslims or hipsters from Williamsburg, not Catholics from Tom's River. So Matthew, writing for his Jewish audience, tells us these outsiders were the ones who left their homes, risked a difficult journey, and ventured way outside their comfort zone to follow a star wherever it led. Matthew is telling us that whatever God is doing, he's not doing it for an exclusive group of chosen people. But many of the Jewish people at that time didn't really see it the way Paul did, and Matthew did, and still clung to their tribes and their roots. And it's probably why Christianity became a religion of itself, a tribe of itself, instead of being a way of life that can be lived in all faiths or ways of praising God and worshiping God. So by the 2nd century, these early followers of Jesus began to call themselves Catholics with a lowercase c because they were universals. It was for everyone. They understood that Jesus taught a way of life, a different way of seeing the world. They were adhering to a path that included everyone and excluded no one. And then sometime in the 3rd or 4th century, something happened and the followers of the way became an institution. They reverted to the old us and them mentality. We're the chosen ones. Ours is the one true faith. We are better and holier than they are. It became an outside-in religion instead of an inside-out way of being. But what makes us holier and better doesn't come from belonging to a group or being part of a special church. It isn't about membership in a private elite country club of right believers. The gift of Christ's love isn't given only to us to hold on to for ourselves in our little group. It isn't a sign of specialness, but a sign of a sacred responsibility. If we've been gifted with the awareness of the love of Christ within us, we must share it. We cannot contain within these walls of this building the love, the joy, and the spirit we experience at Good Shepherd. We must share it with everyone, not just other people in our parish family, but everyone. Jesus showed us a way to live in the kingdom, not a membership in a particular religion. So perhaps the metaphor that I used earlier about sharing a bottle of wine isn't really quite right. The bottle of wine diminishes as you share it. But the love and the light of Christ doesn't diminish as we share it. It grows, just like the light of a candle lighting another candle. So this gift that we have, as we walk out of these doors today, we need to let that gift shine, let that light shine. We need to be the gift. And that light hopefully will help someone find their way through